a country in constant evolution, where a deep religious rootedness coexists with a growing longing for freedom and progress. Iran is the cradle of civilizations and millennia-old empires, a mosaic of cultures and landscapes where the past and the present intertwine in a surprising way, from the majestic ruins of Persepolis to the mosques of Isfahan, a country that surprises with its rich history and natural beauty, where the imposing snow-capped peaks of the Zagros contrast with the golden deserts of the Lut. Let's explore together and discover some of the most interesting and extraordinary facts about Iran. Iran's role in the Middle East. Iran, heir to ancient Persia, changed the political map of the Middle East forever with the Islamic Revolution of 1979. After centuries of monarchy and rapid westernization under the Pahlavi dynasty, social and religious discontent culminated in a popular uprising that overthrew the Shah and placed Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini at the head of a new theocratic state. The objective? To establish a system governed by Sharia, where Shiite Islam became not only the official religion, but also the absolute core of political, judicial, and social power. The revolution not only ended a monarchical cycle of more than 2,500 years, but also turned Iran into a disruptive actor by challenging the Western-led world order. Since then, the country has been accused of supporting Islamist groups such as Hezbollah and Hamas, while also imposing strict legislation on women and crushing internal opposition with an iron fist. In regional geopolitics, Iran has built a network of strategic alliances to expand its Shiite influence and counter the presence of the United States, Israel, and Saudi Arabia. In Iraq, after the fall of Saddam Hussein, Tehran has supported Shiite militias and allied parties that today dominate much of the political power. In Syria, following the collapse of Bashar al-Assad's regime, Iran has maintained its military and operational presence, supporting allied local structures and preserving its influence over the key territory of the Levant. In Yemen, the Islamic Republic supports the Houthis, a Shiite militia fighting the pro-Saudi government, challenging Sunni hegemony on the Arabian Peninsula. Through this network of allies, Iran not only projects its power, but redraws the lines of influence in a convulsed and increasingly polarized Middle East. Contemporary Iran. Myths and realities. Iran, with its deep Persian heritage, celebrates festivities that reflect thousands of years of history and symbolism. The most important is Nowruz, the Persian New Year celebrated during the spring equinox, with more than 2,500 years of antiquity. This date marks the beginning of the Jalali calendar, when families gather, exchange gifts, and share traditional dishes. Another notable festival is Chaharsham Suri, the ancient fire festival celebrated on the eve of the last Wednesday of the year, as well as Sizda Badar, dedicated to nature, and Shabi Yalda, which celebrates the winter solstice with stories, poetry, symbolic fruits like pomegranates, and family gatherings. In the present, Iran tries to balance its traditional legacy with the challenges of modernity. On the international stage, it faces tensions with the West due to its nuclear program and sanctions, but has also forged alliances with powers such as Russia and China. Internally, an educated youth connected through social networks like Instagram and Telegram drives social change. Despite censorship, Iranian women are protagonists of change. Although subject to strict dress laws and facing limitations on their rights, they represent a symbol of resistance. Since the Islamic Revolution of 1979, they have fought to expand their freedoms, achieving progress in education and employment. In everyday life, Iran blends ancient customs with modern ways of living. Soccer is the most popular sport, although polo, which originated in Persia, still retains its symbolic value. Taraf, the Iranian system of courtesy, governs social etiquette, involving initially rejecting invitations out of politeness, protesting compliments, and downplaying one's own achievements. When visiting a home, punctuality, gifts, and greeting in order of age are expected. These customs and celebrations are the soul of Iranian society, reflecting its national identity and its constant transformation in the face of a changing world. Persian culture, religion, education, and art. Iran is a country where religion, education, and art are deeply intertwined, forming the foundation of its national identity. Shiite Islam, of the Twelver branch, is the official and dominant religion, permeating daily life from social norms to the legal structure. Faith defines not only the spiritual, but also the moral and political. One of the most important centers of Shirazism is Mashhad, in the Khorasan region, where millions of faithful make pilgrimages to the sanctuary of Imam Reza, the eighth Imam of Shirazism. There, religious studies also flourish, having preserved doctrine for centuries. This religious influence is directly reflected in Iran's educational system. The official language of instruction is Persian, although Arabic is mandatory from elementary through secondary school. Due to the religious content present in the curriculum, 98.5% of the population is Muslim, mostly Shiite. Despite restrictions, 60% of university students are women, although they face severe limitations regarding clothing, career choice, work, and participation in public life. Laws require, for example, the mandatory use of the hijab, and there are restrictions on traveling or holding certain positions. Iranian art is a reflection of its historical soul. Ceramics, decorative tiles, and Persian carpets are expressions of a rich visual heritage, marked by detail, symmetry, and Islamic tradition. Persian poetry, with figures such as Hafez and Rumi, is a revered cultural pillar. Traditional music, with complex scales and distinctive timbres, offers a unique sonic identity. Iranian cinema, internationally awarded, represents one of the most authentic voices of contemporary realism, subtly narrating the tensions between tradition and modernity. Iran, cultural diversity. Iran and Iraqi Kurdistan reflect two essential dimensions of the Middle East: millennial ethnic diversity and the struggle for identity. Iran, an ancient stronghold of the Persian Empire, is a true melting pot of cultures where numerous ethnic and linguistic groups coexist. Although Persians form the majority, the country is home to important minorities such as Kurds, Azeris, Baluchis, Arabs, and Turkmens. Each of these peoples has left their mark on the country's traditions, languages, and artistic expressions, forming a unique cultural mosaic. Farsi is the official language, but many other languages are spoken, such as Kurdish, Azerbaijani Turkish, and Baluchi. This plurality, enriched by centuries of trade and religion, has woven a tapestry of identities that defines contemporary Iran. One of these peoples, the Kurds, represent one of the largest stateless ethnic groups in the world, with about 45 million people mainly distributed across Turkey, Iran, Iraq, and Syria. Their history, marked by resistance and marginalization, has roots that many link to the ancient Medes. Despite persecutions such as Saddam Hussein's chemical attacks and Turkish military campaigns in the 20th century, the Kurds have preserved their language, culture, and aspirations for autonomy. Erbil, the capital of Iraqi Kurdistan, is one of the oldest cities in the world with about 6,000 years of history. Situated between the Euphrates and Tigris rivers, it was part of empires such as the Babylonian, Persian, and Ottoman. Today it is a modern and vibrant metropolis with wide avenues and skyscrapers that coexist with traditional souks. Its old town has been declared a World Heritage Site, symbolizing Kurdish cultural resistance. At the heart of this city, the Kurdish people have built a model of self-government, keeping their identity alive within a region marked by geopolitical complexity. Living in Iran is living among contrasts. In large cities like Tehran, Isfahan, or Mashhad, modern life coexists with ancient traditions. Shopping malls overflow with technology and fashion, but on the street you still see spice stalls, artisanal bread, and bazaars where bargaining is an art. The family is the center of Iranian life. Family gatherings are frequent, and sharing a homemade meal remains one of the most important forms of socialization. Many Iranians enjoy going to parks to drink tea or have picnics under the trees, especially during the spring. The workweek begins on Saturday and ends on Thursday, with Friday being the sacred day, equivalent to Sunday in the Western world. Most businesses are closed that day, and the streets fill with families, prayer, and rest. But not everything is harmony. Since the Islamic Revolution of 1979, the country has lived under a rigid religious system. Women, for example, are required by law to cover their hair and dress modestly, even from a young age. This has generated protests, social tensions, and movements for more freedom, especially among the youth. In terms of economic access, the situation is mixed. The cost of living is relatively low. Renting an apartment can cost half as much as in Mexico City, and a local meal costs around $3 or $4. But inflation and international sanctions make it difficult to access imported products and raise the prices of basic goods. Education holds high cultural value. Iran has one of the highest literacy rates in the region, and many universities are internationally recognized. However, ideological control is also felt in the classrooms. Ultimately, living in Iran means adapting to a life between the deep hospitality of its people, the weight of religious rules, and a growing desire, especially among the youth, for a more open future. Life in Iran. Iran is a country of contrasts where ancestral nomadic life coexists with the urban richness of its historic cities. In the region of Azerbaijan, in the northwest of the country, nomads continue their millennia-old traditions, traveling through mountains and steppes with their herds and felt yurts, mobile structures that serve as temporary homes. These camps are centers of community life where ancestral wisdom is passed down by the fire under starry skies. In this same region is the city of Tabriz, known for its impressive bazaar and its mosques of unique architectural beauty like the Blue Mosque. Nearby, Kandavin amazes with its homes carved into volcanic rock, where natural architecture merges with human tradition. In contrast to this itinerant life, Iranian cities offer a monumental journey through the heart of ancient Persia. The route between Shiraz, Isfahan, and Kashan, more than 600 kilometers long, reveals the three great urban treasures of the country. Shiraz, city of poets and gardens, preserves palaces, mosques, and a brilliant cultural heritage. Isfahan, nicknamed half of the world, dazzles with its Nakshi Jahan Square, its Imam Mosque, and its ancient bazaar, witnesses of Persian splendor. Finally, Kashan, on the edge of the Maranjab Desert, stands out for its traditional architecture and its old merchant houses like the Tabatabai, examples of refinement and art in the 18th and 19th centuries. Whether among the desert dunes or in the cobbled streets of centuries-old cities, the essence of Iran is revealed in the fusion between the nomadic and the urban, the ancient and the present, in a country where time seems to walk in several directions at once. What is life like in the Caspian Sea region? The Caspian Sea region in Iran is located in the north of the country, a region that captivates with a combination of natural wealth, ancestral culture, and unforgettable landscapes. Nestled between the Alborz Mountains and the world's largest inland sea, this area is home to lush forests, majestic mountains, and nature reserves that protect a unique biodiversity. The mild climate conditions favor not only wildlife, but also agricultural activity, especially the planting of the famous Caspian tea, cultivated on mountain terraces at ideal altitudes. Besides its natural exuberance, the region has multiple salt lakes formed by the evaporation of the Caspian Sea water and underground springs. These lakes, such as the prominent Lake Urmia, the sixth largest of its kind in the world, are vital both for the ecosystem and the local economy, used in the production of salt, minerals, and as a tourist attraction. Urmia is also a key refuge for migratory birds. The cities of Masuleh and Rash stand out for their traditional charm, with mountain architecture and cobblestone streets that evoke past times. Regional gastronomy includes specialties such as bread baked in clay ovens, aromatic kebabs, and local herbal tea. All of this is served with the characteristic hospitality of its inhabitants. Visitors to this region can immerse themselves in rural life, learn about agricultural work, herding practices, and rest in typical local accommodations. The beaches of calm and crystal-clear waters complete this environment that invites both rest and discovery, consolidating the Caspian Sea region as one of the most complete destinations in Iran, where nature, tradition, and daily life intertwine in harmony. Iran's economy today. Iran's economy is varied and shows the characteristics of an upper-middle-income nation, with a significant primary sector and an expanding industry. Its economic base rests mainly on the exploitation of hydrocarbons, with oil and natural gas as the fundamental pillars. Iran occupies second place in production within OPEC, only behind Saudi Arabia, and represents approximately 5.1% of the world's crude oil. This activity is concentrated especially in the south of the country, near the Persian Gulf, where tourist islands such as Kish and Qeshm are also located. Known for their rugged landscapes, unique rock formations, and ideal hiking routes. Nearby is the Strait of Hormuz, a crucial maritime passage between Iran and Oman, only 33 kilometers wide at its narrowest point. Through this strategic channel flows almost 1/5 of the world's oil, which represents about 17.5 million barrels per day, consolidating Iran's key geopolitical position. Besides the energy sector, Iran has important mineral resources extracted from its salt lakes, where salt, potassium, magnesium, and sodium sulfate are obtained. These materials have applications in industries such as pharmaceuticals, food, and chemicals. On the other hand, sectors like agriculture, manufacturing, and especially tourism also offer great potential. With a rich cultural heritage, diverse landscapes, and a millennia-old history, Iran attracts visitors from all over the world. Its natural and human heritage turns tourism into a strategic opportunity for economic growth. Taken together, Iran's economy reflects a mix of natural wealth, industrial potential, and geographic advantages that give it a prominent position in the Middle East, both economically and strategically. Among the arid lands of southern Iran rise the silent remains of one of the greatest empires in human history. The Persian Empire, and its architectural jewel, Persepolis, remains a profound symbol of national pride. Founded by Darius I in the year 518 before Christ, Persepolis was much more than an imperial capital. It was a ceremonial stage designed to impress both allies and subjects from the vast regions that made up the Achaemenid Empire, from India to Egypt. Carved at the foot of the Zagros Mountains and elevated on a stone platform, Persepolis seems to emerge from the earth as a declaration of power and civilization. Its majestic columns, stone reliefs, and monumental gates tell stories of unity and diversity. Soldiers, merchants, and emissaries from more than 20 nations bringing tribute to the great king. A curiosity that few know is that the structure was planned to align with astronomical phenomena. During the spring equinox, sunlight directly illuminated the staircase of the dignitaries, a symbol of renewal and rebirth just before the celebration of Nowruz, the Persian New Year. Persepolis was looted and destroyed by Alexander the Great in 330 before Christ, in a gesture that some historians consider revenge for the Greco-Persian Wars. However, even its destruction did not erase the cultural legacy it planted. Today, the ruins of Persepolis continue to attract tourists, archaeologists, and millions of Iranians who see it as a symbol of lost greatness, but also as a living promise of cultural unity. It is a World Heritage Site. Despite time, wind, and war, Persepolis has not disappeared. It remains as memory carved in stone of a civilization that, centuries later, still resonates in the soul of Iran. If there is a place where history becomes visible beauty, that place is Isfahan, famous for its nickname, half of the world. This city was the capital of the Safavid Empire and a jewel of Islamic art. Its Naqsh Jahan Square, one of the largest in the world, is a true open-air stage, flanked by blue-domed mosques, royal palaces, and covered bazaars overflowing with calligraphy, ceramics, and hand-embroidered tapestries. The Imam Mosque, with its perfect acoustics and turquoise tiles, seems carved by light itself. But Isfahan is not only history. Its bridges, like the Persepolis, are still meeting points for young people and poets who recite Persian verses at sunset. Architecture here is not just observed, it is inhabited, walked through, and felt. Further south, the city of Shiraz breathes poetry, cradle of the great poets Hafez and Sa'di. It is a place where words and art bloom in gardens. The Iram Garden, with its cypresses and water channels, seems like a piece of paradise described in Sufi verses. Its citadel, the Vakil Bazaar, and the Nasir al-Mulk Mosque, the Pink Mosque, amaze with their stained glass windows that bathe the walls in a rainbow of light every morning. But Shiraz is not just nostalgia. Here, a more relaxed, more bohemian spirit can be felt. It is common to see families strolling at night or young people talking with a book in hand under the shade of orange trees. And then there is Yazd, a city that defies the desert. Founded more than 5,000 years ago, its adobe alleys seem taken from an ancient tale. Yazd is a testimony to human adaptation to the most hostile climate. Here the Badgers were born, wind towers that cool homes without electricity. It was also home to the ancient Zoroastrian religion, still alive in fire temples where the flame has remained lit for centuries. Its minimalist architecture is not a limitation, but a lesson in ingenuity. In Yazd, every shadow, every breeze, every mud-brick wall has a purpose. Walking along its rooftops, one can see mosque domes aligned with the stars. It is no coincidence that it has been declared a World Heritage Site. Located on a plateau at 1,200 meters of altitude, at the foot of the imposing Elburz Mountains, Tehran stretches out as a vibrant and challenging metropolis in northern Iran. Here, the eternal snows of the mountains watch over a city that never stops, chaotic, alive, at times modern, at times conservative. With over 12 million inhabitants in its metropolitan area, it is the most populous city in the country and one of the most extensive in the entire Middle East. Capital since 1795, it is the political, economic, and cultural epicenter of Iran. From its wide avenues to its narrow commercial alleys, Tehran is a mirror reflecting centuries of Persian history and the tension of modern times. One of its most notable landmarks is the Golestan Palace, an architectural jewel that blends Persian and European styles and has witnessed coronations, treaties, and revolutions. Very close by, the Grand Bazaar of Tehran buzzes with the energy of thousands of merchants. In a labyrinth where everything from Persian rugs to silver jewelry can be found. The city's skyline is dominated by two iconic towers. The Mashhad Tower, one of the tallest of its kind in the world, and the Yazdi Tower, built in 1971 with white marble from Isfahan as a symbol of the 2,500 years of Persian imperial history. Its design combines Sasanian elegance with Islamic influences. Also noteworthy are the National Museum of Iran, with one of the largest archaeological collections in the Middle East, and the Hamadan complex, a former royal palace surrounded by gardens, now converted into a park and museum. But Tehran is not just monuments. What is it like to live here? The answer is not simple. Urban life moves between respect for Islamic customs and the desire of a youth that dreams of greater freedoms. For example, the weekend is observed on Thursdays and Fridays, and on Friday, a holy day, most businesses remain closed. The dress code, especially for women, is strict. Loose-fitting clothing, covered hair, no bright colors. And yet, in the city's cafes and parks, it is common to see young artists, students, and families enjoying a surprisingly active and social lifestyle. In terms of infrastructure, the Tehran metro stands out as the most extensive in the Middle East, transporting more than 2 million people per day, a clear example of how modernity continues to push forward even under political and religious restrictions. Just 150 kilometers to the south lies a city sacred to Shirazm, where the Fatima Masuma Shrine is located. This site receives more than 20 million pilgrims each year. A city that contrasts Tehran's modernity with the spiritual intensity of Shiite Islam. Tehran is, ultimately, a city of contrasts, ancient and modern, opulent and austere, spiritual and pragmatic. It is the heart of a millennia-old country that, like its capital, beats to the rhythm of history and the present. There was a time when Persia and Israel were not enemies. Before 1979, Iran, under the rule of Shah Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, maintained diplomatic and commercial relations with Israel, even providing some strategic support in a volatile region. This relationship was not only political. Jewish communities have inhabited Persian territory for over 2,700 years, since the time of the Babylonian exile, and for centuries coexisted with the Muslim majority without major tensions. Everything changed with the Islamic Revolution of 1979, which overthrew the Shah and established an Islamic regime led by Ayatollah Khomeini. Since then, and unjustifiably, Israel has officially been considered an enemy of Islam, particularly of Iranian Shiite Islam. The new regime not only broke diplomatic relations, but also adopted a rhetoric of direct resistance toward Israel, which it considers an illegitimate Zionist regime that must disappear from the map. After the First World War, the Middle East experienced a significant process of territorial and political redistribution, largely driven by agreements and international treaties that followed the collapse of the Ottoman Empire, such as the now famous Sykes-Picot Agreement of 1916 and declarations like the Balfour Declaration of 1917, through which the British Empire promised a national home for the Jewish people. UN Resolution 181 recommended the creation of two states in the British Mandate of Palestine, one Jewish and one Arab. This led to the creation of the State of Israel in 1948, which was immediately rejected by much of the Arab world. Although Iran did not directly participate in that first Arab-Israeli war, the radical shift came with the new doctrine of the Islamic Republic, which sees Israel as a Western enclave implanted in Muslim lands. Since then, the conflict is not merely political or territorial, but ideological and religious. The Islamic Revolution of 1978 in Iran created a regime under the leadership of the Ayatollahs that placed the country in a completely antagonistic position against the West and calls for the unjustified extermination of the State of Israel. Already in the 21st century, the rivalry has deepened with Iran's support for groups like Hezbollah in Lebanon and Hamas in Gaza, while Israel has carried out covert operations, cyber attacks, and airstrikes targeting Iranian interests in Syria and other parts of the region, and in recent days against Tehran and other points considered strategic by the Israeli state. But not only has the Jewish state attacked Iran, Iran has done so on many occasions, firing missiles, hundreds of missiles, at Israel and supporting groups like the Houthis, who attacked the Jewish state from Yemen. These days, when Iran occupies the headlines of the world, it is easy to forget that behind the noise of geopolitics, there is a nation with a deep soul and millennia-old roots. This is not just a country in conflict. It is a cultural and natural universe that defies simplistic labels. Iran, in its mystery, seems forged by the dreams of time, its geography. It has been compared to a vast natural bowl, a heart of plateaus and deserts surrounded by towering mountain ranges. From the air, its landscapes look like fragments of another planet where stone, wind, and fire draw invisible borders. In the center beats a rolling plateau, home to the elusive Asiatic cheetah and to historic cities like Tehran, Isfahan, and Shiraz. Here, time is not measured only in hours, but in centuries and poems. To the north, the Elburz Mountains embrace the coast of the Caspian Sea. In its forests and cliffs survive Persian leopards and Bezoar goats, while Lake Urmia, the largest salt lake in the Middle East, slowly agonizes between myth and environmental crisis. To the east stretches the Lut Desert, a sea of sand and rock where the surface temperature has exceeded 70 degrees Celsius, making it one of the hottest places on the planet. A geological hell that, nonetheless, holds fossil secrets and hypnotic landscapes. The west, dominated by the Zagros mountain range, is land of gazelles, bears, and ancestral peoples, and to the east, among cold and dry mountains, rises the majestic Mount Damavand, a dormant volcano of 5,610 m, the highest in Western Asia. This is Iran before the conflict, before the headlines, a country of extremes, where every valley and every mountain speaks to us of resilience, mystery, and beauty.